All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to explore some really profound verses from the Quran's 13th chapter, Surah Ar-Raʿd, which actually means the thunder. And what we're going to find is a vision of the universe that is anything but silent.
So let's just start with a question that might sound a little strange at first. Can thunder actually praise God? And I don't mean in some poetic, symbolic way. I mean, can it perform a real, conscious act of praise? The chapter we're diving into today argues that the answer is, believe it or not, a resounding yes.
And that very question opens up our first major theme, this idea of the universe being alive with a kind of cosmic symphony of praise. The interpretation we're examining suggests that every single part of creation, from the biggest star down to the tiniest particle, is in a constant, active state of glorifying its creator. It all comes back to this foundational verse from the surah itself, and it is just striking. It says, "And the thunder exalts Allah with his praise, and the angels also from fear of him." I mean, that one line completely reframes how you might see the natural world, suggesting it's not just passive matter, but an active participant in worship.
And this is the absolute core of the argument. The source text we're looking at is crystal clear. This praise is not a metaphor. It's not a figure of speech. It posits that natural phenomena, like the sound of thunder itself, have some form of awareness that allows them to actively, consciously glorify God. It's a pretty radical way to think about the world around us, right?
Now, to really get a handle on this, we need to understand a key term, tasbih. This isn't just saying, good job or thank you. Tasbih is a very specific act of worship. It's the act of declaring God's absolute perfection, his complete transcendence above any flaw or limitation you could possibly think of. It's this profound recognition of pure majesty. Okay, so if the entire universe is performing this tasbih, what's the motivation? What is driving this constant cosmic worship? Well, the source we're examining points to two primary engines, two main forces behind it all. The first of these engines is khauf. Now, it often gets translated as fear, but a much better way to think of it is profound awe. Reverence. It's that feeling you get when you're faced with something of immense power and majesty. The source text connects this feeling specifically to the angels, saying their praise comes from this deep, respectful awe of God. And the second complementary engine is tama. This is all about hope, an eager desire, a deep longing. So this isn't a motivation based on awe, but one based on hopefulness, a yearning for God's mercy, for his rewards, and ultimately for closeness to him. This, the source suggests, is a huge driver for the worship of creation. So the key here is the beautiful balance between these two forces. You have khauf, or awe, which kind of pushes you away from disobedience out of sheer respect for divine power, and then you have tama, or hope, which acts like a magnet, pulling you towards obedience because you desire that divine mercy. Together they form these balanced, dynamic engines of worship.
Now, this cosmic worship isn't just something you hear, like the thunder's praise. It's also physical, and that brings us to the idea of universal prostration, the concept that everything in creation, in its own unique way, physically bows down in submission.
And this is where it gets even more fascinating. It's one thing to picture an angel bowing, but the text takes it so much further. It makes you ask the question, how on earth can something as intangible as a shadow prostrate? And the source offers this just stunning interpretation. It looks at the verse that describes how their shadows incline in the mornings and the evenings, and it says this isn't just some poetic way of describing the sun moving across the sky. No, it's meant to be seen as a literal, constant act of prostration. The natural, perpetual movement of a shadow, stretching out and shrinking back all day long, is its form of worship. And this submission, it's totally all-encompassing. The source material really emphasizes that this is a cosmic law that applies to absolutely everything. So believers submit willingly, right, through conscious prayer. But everything else in creation, it submits by its very nature. A shadow can't choose not to stretch. Its submission is built into the very fabric of its existence, which sets this powerful example for our own willed submission. So, we've traveled from the sound of thunder all the way to the movement of shadows. Now, the focus is going to shift. We're moving from this automatic, inherent worship of the cosmos to the conscious, deliberate choices that we humans make, specifically the act of prayer. The source text really grounds this new focus in one critical phrase from the surah, Lahu dawatul haq. And what this means is,
To him is the call of truth. This one phrase becomes the benchmark, the standard by which all prayer is judged.
So what does this call of truth actually mean? Well, the source draws a very sharp, very clear line. The call of truth is any prayer, any supplication that's directed only to God. That call is heard. It has value. And in stark contrast, you have the call of error. This is any supplication directed to anyone or anything else. Doesn't matter if it's an idol, a saint, any other being. The source is absolutely unequivocal. That call is pointless, it's futile, and it will go unanswered.
And to make sure this point isn't just some abstract idea, to make it really concrete and unforgettable, the Quran gives us this powerful metaphor. It's the image of a thirst that can never, ever be quenched.
The Quran lays out this incredible parable. Just imagine a person who is desperately thirsty. They see water somewhere in the distance, maybe in a well or across a stream, and so they stretch out their hands towards it as if they could just cup the water and bring it to their mouth from so far away. Of course, it's a completely futile gesture. There's just no way the water can ever reach them like that. And this illustrates the main argument just brilliantly. The source explains that praying to anyone or anything other than God is exactly like this. The things or beings that are being called upon simply have no power to answer or to help. Just like that distant water can't answer the call of the thirsty person's hands. The connection is broken. The effort is completely wasted.
So at the end of the day, this explainer leaves us with a really powerful, reflective question. If the entire cosmos, from the thunder that praises in awe to the shadows that prostrate in natural, built-in submission, if all of that directs its worship to one single source, what's the logic in us humans directing our most personal, most desperate calls for help anywhere else? It's a thought that really ties that grand cosmic symphony right back to our own choices,